Truly, one of the best things about human ingenuity is how much we have evolved technology over the years. We started off as cavemen discovering the wheel, then fire, and nowadays we've invented technology to keep you hooked on your device and make you absolutely miserable. And apart from that, we've also invented big metal birds that fly up in the sky. But like anything, taking one of those big metal birds in the sky that can fly you to nearly any destination in the world, it's become commercialized. So what should be a breathtaking experience, being thousands of feet above the ground, looking at usually an empty ocean or probably clouds most of the flight, you'll be packed into a tight seat, someone's nudging you so they can use the toilet, your armrest has been taken, and the guy in front of you just reclined his seat, and you can count every single missing hair follicle on their head. The thing is, flying on an airline is like playing Russian roulette, but 5 out of the 6 chambers are loaded. Your experience on an airline comes 100% down to whoever is sat in your vicinity. Now, to any of you that fly, I'm sure you've had that annoying person, you know, kick the back of your seat sometimes during a flight. But what if someone left their child completely unaccompanied and they pull out the service tray and start dancing on it? But honestly, why blame the average Mr. Beast viewer when there are fully grown men doing 10 times as much damage? Now, the thing is, context is everything. There are so many videos floating around of someone having a complete breakdown, and then you go to think, okay, they're acting like a moron, but there might be a story behind this. Maybe this guy was plagued by mental illness, or maybe he was told some horrible news on the flight and he had a complete breakdown and didn't know how to comprehend it. No, none of those. It was actually somehow even more complicated. There's a news article about this, right? Apparently, the guy was so drunk on the flight that he passed out. We've all been there, probably. But then when the plane landed, the guy didn't wake up, and they deemed that he was in an alcoholic coma. So someone opened a med kit, gave him a shot of glucose to wake him up. The guy eventually came to, saw that there was a used needle next to him, assumed the worst, and just started freaking out. Apparently, he was charged with damage, exposing an airline to danger, and preventing or hindering air navigation. It's just wild. So far, we've talked about passengers that have been rude, or maybe a bit worse than rude. But what about passengers whose only purpose to be put on this earth was to make everyone's lives miserable? Well, that's what happened on a flight from Bali to Singapore, as one single passenger on the airline didn't want to wear a seatbelt. And as you know, on planes, when they're in the middle of their flight, you can take your seatbelt off, but during landing and takeoff, you have to wear a seatbelt. So they couldn't actually land the plane legally.
We are legally not able to land an aircraft if the cabin isn't secured. The airport police will be involved, and they will take the necessary action. So may I remind all passengers once again, please be seated with your seatbelt securely fastened. Thank you.
One thing I love about that video that is so depressing is the one person clapping. It's like everyone is probably, you know, they've missed their trains, they've missed their bookings, meetings, meals, and you've got that one person being the kind stranger applauding the pilot for following the law.
So may I remind all passengers once again?
White people when the plane clap be like... One thing I think we can all agree to hate on as well are people that think they're above everyone else. These kinds of people truly think that they are the protagonist, and everyone else that they meet, they're just NPCs ready to give a quest. That's exactly what happened with this couple when they rushed past bag measuring and boarding pass scans. You know, the thing that you do right before you get on the flight. By the way, I'm not saying that they queue jumped or went to like the front of the queue. They just ran past without actually scanning their boarding pass, which is something you can't do because then you're not accounted for on the flight.
Come out, or we're gonna have to deplane the entire plane. And you guys are gonna come out and do it.
Get out the plane, man. Get out the plane.
They're not coming, so no.
I do want to say, I think we can all agree bag measuring sucks. It's a way for airlines to squeeze even more money out of you, because if you have a bag that doesn't fit, what else are you going to do with it? You're going to throw it away? So they know that you've got no other choice, so they squeeze you for an extortionate amount of money. But that being said, rushing past everyone, even boarding pass scanning, just to get into your seat first, why? The thing is, you can even see on the plane, like, the amount of shame these people have. They both put their hoods up and they pretend to be asleep like they're 5-year-olds. I really like the Jurassic Park logic there. If they don't make any kind of movement, the flight attendant T-Rex simply won't even know that they exist. And the worst thing is, because they don't want to get off the plane because they're so self-absorbed and selfish, every single other person had to then deplane and scan their boarding pass again. This couple really woke up and thought, today I'm going to do a little trolling. A trolling on a scale of 300 passengers. You can even see other passengers like looking behind in disgust, like, am I really getting off the plane because someone that looks like an edgy hacker profile picture refuses to get off? Keep in mind, by the way, like, they're not being kicked off the plane. They have to get off the plane, get their bag measured, and then scan their boarding pass. That's it. It's a process that would take about 5 minutes at most. But unfortunately for them, the ruse was over. They're pretending to be asleep, but other passengers keep nudging them, saying, you know, get off the flight, get your stuff scanned. To which they wake up and say,
We paid for tickets just like y'all. Stop.
the problem is, you'll notice here, like a lot of arguments on social media, especially Twitter, if someone is proven wrong, they won't instantly go, oh my god, I've saw the error of my ways. I am so deeply sorry. They won't do that. They'll simply dig their heels in more and just act even more annoyed while representing their original argument.
Understand? We tired. We've been flying for 20 motherfucking hours. We're not learning. Y'all know what the fuck we do.
So again, instead of getting off the plane, scanning their pass, getting their bag measured, something that would take 5 minutes, they proceed to have a complete mental breakdown saying, we are tired.
We're tired.
I'm tired.
Apparently, the story concluded where police got involved, they dragged them off the plane, but everyone had to get off the plane anyway and rescan their passes. So it cost everyone, I think, over 2 hours. Also, one thing I really like is how she said that she's tired while probably spending about 500 calories, screaming for 12 seconds how tired she is.
We're tired.
I'm tired. We're not going over.
Another great example I found, just before a flight, a guy wanted to get on with his skateboard, but he couldn't because it was like oversized, so it'd have to go into check-in as opposed to carry-on luggage. Now, to do that so late, they know that you've got no choice, so they will rinse you. I think the guy had to pay like $90 for it. At that point, you could probably buy about 5 skateboards. The thing is that annoys me about that as well is, like, I mean, it technically is oversized, but it could so easily fit under his seat, like, if not in the overhead. But anyway, he does the absolute based Giga Chad thing possible, and he just snaps the board in half because he knows it is better to probably buy a new board than to pay that extortionate amount of money.
What is it? $90? $89.
$89
Because it doesn't fit in here. Okay. Here we go. This should do the trick. All right. How's that?
That was unnecessary, sir.
I think truly one of the worst examples I've seen of a passenger on an airliner was this video of a woman who was on a flight from Atlanta to New York. She had her dog on for the flight, and the way that dogs work on planes is they need to basically be in like a certified kennel. You can't just have them walking around on the plane or even in your lap. This woman, as some people choose to believe, thought she was above the rest and even above the law. So she just has her dog out, she gets told to get off the flight, and then okay, so you know how there's so many videos where you see people like, you know, sounding off on a flight attendant, be like, I hate I hate you for enforcing the law. How dare you? That happens, as usual.
Calm down. You guys have been nothing but fucking rude.
But in this video, she then, like, takes her anger out on the other passengers, especially the ones that are filming her.
I'm sorry, guys.
She even gets so angry at one point that she's being filmed, she tries to do like a collateral trick shot with a water bottle. Shouting at a flight attendant, it's one thing. It's pretty much a given in all of these videos at this point.
Because you couldn't let my dog sit on my fucking lap.
But physically abusing another passenger, that's like a supervillain origin story. Another great example of having just a terrible passenger near you is one that is just so unhinged that they basically just want to fight you. This one clip of a guy who's being thrown off a plane for being abusive. One poor passenger was unlucky enough to make eye contact with the guy, and he totally tunnel visions him. He keeps saying over and over, you're one of those guys. You want to stand up?
You're one of those guys that want to fucking just stand up.
Like he's got like a ping issue or something.
But you're one of those guys that want to stand up or want to fucking one of those.
I don't think I've seen a single video that gives off drunk uncle energy more. If anything, this reminds me of an Overwatch 2 match. He obviously wants to say a slur, but he can't because he knows the match is being recorded.